Oh, it's on! Let's go!
Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Action Entertainment Reviews Podcast.
Does it depress you to know just how alone you really are?
What are you seeking? I seek the means to fight injustice, to turn fear against those who prey on the fearful.
To conquer fear, you must become fear.
To manipulate the fears in others, you must first master your own. Are you ready to begin?
If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, and if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely. Legend, Mr. Wayne. Legend.
On this episode, we will be discussing and reviewing the Dark Knight Trilogy.
I'm Batman.
Oh boy, you are in for a show tonight, son.
To read more of our reviews and listen to our podcasts, go to lcamoviereviews.com or listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Amazon Music.
There's a storm coming.
And here we go.
What are you?
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
I'm sorry, Harvey. No. No, you're not. Not yet.
This episode will contain spoilers.
Did they kill him?
I'm not sure.
You see only one end to your journey. Endure, Master Wayne.
Batman has to come back.
I won't bury you. Buried enough members of the Wayne family.
Don't be afraid.
I'm not afraid. I'm angry. The damn
everything.
Not everything. Not yet. Not yet.
And now, here are your hosts for this episode: Mike Winkler, Alister Englehart, Jeremy Larson, and Jason Kabasic. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Lights, Camera, Action Entertainment Reviews Podcast. I'm Mike Winkler, and I am here again with the Lights, Camera, Action crew. Mr. Condiment Games himself, Jeremy Larson, my Mario Party buddy, Alister Englehart, and my Dog Pound Nation co-host, Jason Kabasic. How you doing, gentlemen?
Hey, doing great, good. Mike. How about you?
Fantastic.
Not bad, not bad. Tonight we were supposed to do our Marvel podcast, but unfortunately Dan English had a prior engagement, so we had to delay it for tonight, but we still wanted to bring you, the audience, a podcast tonight, and we've decided to cover the Dark Knight Trilogy, Christopher Nolan's classic superhero, trilogy that basically made comic movies the way they are today.
Where are the drugs? Easily.
Where are the drugs going?
DC movies made. Easily the best DC movies made, because the rest of them have been shit.
I don't know if every single one of them's been shit, but for the most part, yeah.
Shit. Aquaman might be the only other exception.
I'm going to say, I'm going to come out and say this. Besides the Batman Christopher Nolan trilogy, DC does better at television, whereas Marvel does better in the movies.
Although I'm very excited for Wonder Woman 1984. Is that December?
It's coming out. Yeah, it's coming out on HBO Max on Christmas Day.
Nice.
It's amazing, because I didn't know that they were coming out with another Wonder Woman movie.
I didn't
because
either.
That's how little I cared about the first Wonder Woman movie.
You didn't like Wonder Woman 1?
Fuck no.
Wow, I'm a little surprised by that one.
I absolutely hated the DC movies that have come out.
Wow.
I'm going to have to agree with Jason on this one, is that there seems to be very little substance when it comes to anything outside the Nolan trilogy.
Exactly.
But wait until you see the invisible car. It's going to be awesome.
Wow. You guys are right, though. I mean, when you compare the DC films to what Christopher Nolan did and the universe he created, it doesn't compare. And Zack Snyder taking Batman in that complete opposite direction.
Okay. You want to know why that the Christopher Nolan trilogy was so good and so well received compared to the rest of the DC trash that has come out for movies?
Why is that?
It's because they were based off the Dark Horse comics.
Yeah, who was the author of the comic series that it was specifically? It was the Dark Knight series, right? Who was the author of those?
Well, I know Batman Begins is kind of based off of Batman Year One. I know a little bit. I know certain elements from those comics were taken. Yeah, Frank Miller. And I know certain aspects of all of Christopher Nolan's trilogy were actually used from the Batman Year One comic, and kind of was the inspiration.
Got it. Huh.
But, all right. Should we get into the first film, ladies and gents?
Yeah. The first thing I want to say about Batman Begins is, do you guys remember the first trailer that came out for it when we didn't know much about it?
I do not remember the trailer.
Okay. Well, I remember seeing the trailer recently. I was going through all the Batman Begins special features, and I ended up watching a couple of the trailers. And the trailer was really weird, and I remember feeling when I saw the trailer the first time that it didn't look like a Batman film. It kept showing like these big, huge temples in the mountains, and was showing some guy walking through the snow up to the mountain and training with all these different ninjas. I remember thinking, this is not the Batman that I remember growing up with the Michael Keaton movies and Val Kilmer, stuff like that. But when I went to go see the movie for the first time, I was floored, because it was nothing like I was expecting in a good way.
Actually, now you're talking about it, Mike, I feel like I remember it a fair amount of the content of the trailer being devoted to the training, and them almost highlighting Scarecrow quite a bit, as if he was going to be a pretty prominent villain.
Which I absolutely loved.
That Scarecrow was fantastic.
There is so few times that you see Scarecrow being used as an actual good centerpiece for a villain in a Batman movie ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really and honestly anything, minus the comics, I have not seen Scarecrow as a viable villain at all.
Yeah.
No, this was also the first time we actually got to see Ra's al Ghul become a villain before he was used in Arrow in the TV verse.
I know.
Liam Neeson is just so versatile too. That was a great role for him.
Yeah.
Good.
I know, he plays Batman's fucking assassin-ass trainer. He plays Lion God. He plays former, like, what was it? Hitman in Taken, the Taken series?
CIA.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Oscar Schindler.
He
That's
does
true. That's
so
true too.
well
Yeah.
in his roles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, don't we all agree that we wish Qui-Gon would have been around longer because he was so good in Phantom Menace?
Oh, he's
Holy
coming
shit!
back.
I forgot that he was
Yeah.
Qui-Gon.
Yep.
He's going to come back in the Star Wars multiverse and not have died in a parallel.
The veil of the Force. Remember the veil of the
Disney eliminating the sequel trilogy just to bring back
Oh,
Qui-Gon.
no.
But yeah, so on Scarecrow, do you pronounce it Cillian or Killian Murphy?
Killian Murphy. Mhm.
Killian Murphy. He was so good at that role. There was just something about his lips, like he exuded mental.
You know, there's a
The way
lot
he
of different
presents
things that
himself.
Cillian Murphy did right, but you're focusing on his lips.
Yeah, there was just something about his lips that communicated mental instability to me.
Alister's got a thing for Cillian Murphy. It's okay. We can move past that.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Alister Englehart's first It's Sticky moment of the night.
His lips were really sticky looking.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. No, but you're right, though, Alistair. Cillian Murphy, I couldn't have really thought of anybody else to play Scarecrow. And I like the fact that Christopher Nolan brought him back not only in The Dark Knight, but also The Dark Knight Rises.
I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Can we also talk about just the casting in general for this trilogy? I could not figure anybody else to play the roles that they did in this trilogy other than the people that they have.
How'd you feel about Holmes, Jason?
Oh, Katie Holmes?
Yeah. How'd you
like Switch?
You liked her as Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she
About
worked.
the
I mean,
only one that I did not like was Maggie Gyllenhaal playing Rachel in Dark Knight.
I'm glad you said that, because the one thing that bothered me about Dark Knight the most was the fact that Katie Holmes didn't return. Because I thought even though Gyllenhaal did a good job of trying to capture some of Katie Holmes's personality and some of her mannerisms, it wasn't the same. She wasn't the same Rachel from that movie. And I liked how Rachel was in Batman Begins.
She made Rachel seem like a character that I'd have more interest in watching paint dry than watching her act.
Well, the weird thing is that bringing that up is that switch, it made me go to the place when I was watching like the Spider-Man movies to where I really did not like Kristen Dunst and in those movies. And it's just like, it was the same vibe that she was giving off. It was just the annoyed girlfriend of the hero vibe. And it was just like, this entire relationship is boring now.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the time you got to the end of Spider-Man 3, you really weren't rooting for their relationship because you just didn't like her.
Yeah.
But how we were talking about how, speaking of the casting and all that, how we were talking about how Liam Neeson is just so versatile in his roles. How are we forgetting about Gary Oldman?
Gary Oldman played a really good Commissioner
Gary
Gordon.
Oldman is one of the most underrated actors I have ever seen. He needs a lot more credit than he deserves.
He played the Commissioner Gordon.
Oh, that's his. Oh, I was thinking of it.
Yeah, he
I
was
thinking of a
Commissioner
different name for
Gordon.
that
He was the main villain in Fifth Element. He's been in a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
people don't even recognize.
He was.
I know a lot of people don't give this movie credit, and I actually kind of like it. Have you guys seen Lost in Space?
Exactly.
Yes. I love Lost
I
in
like
Space.
that movie.
Everyone says it's a trash film, and I'm just like, you cannot be serious. This is gold.
You're trash.
We gotta do a podcast on Lost in Space because that movie deserves respect.
See, I think we should do a podcast on Lost in Space. I think Galaxy Quest needs to be one of those too.
How about this
Because
one? How about Battlestar Galactica?
I'm gonna have to watch it in order to
yeah,
discuss it.
Yeah. Yep. That one's worth it too. But no, Gary Oldman played an excellent Dr. Smith in that, and that's why I mentioned it, because I thought he created a great one. I don't know if you guys have been watching Lost in Space on Netflix, the series.
No, I didn't even know they brought it back up. I
tried watching it, and it's very dry. It was a very dry start, but I'm hoping to jump back into it later on.
Well, I don't like the fact they made Dr. Smith a female, because I don't like when they change from the original. I mean, I get why they did it, but to me, it's like, why make that change? Why was it a necessary change to make? It just...
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the shoot podcast we're doing now. During the actual podcast, we're getting way off track.
Hey, as long as we reference people that are in the movie we're talking about, we're okay. We're okay.
I think we should leave the gender bend constructive oh my gosh, constructive
criticism. Okay, now you got my tongue twisted.
Anyways, let's go on back to Gary Oldman, which you were discussing.
Yeah,
fantastic actor. I was in belief of him in the entirety of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Exactly.
I was on his side so much.
I could not picture anybody else playing this role at all.
In these movies, no. Not at all.
But the only thing that I wish that they would have touched on would maybe adding in like a Riddler into this. But that's only because I want to see Johnny Depp playing the Riddler.
Well, you're going to get to see the Riddler in Pattinson's Batman.
We'll see
I
how
look
that
forward to it,
out.
but I'm hoping they don't go the Jim Carrey route of making it way too comedic.
Oh, not with this. They're not. No, I think this Riddler's supposed to be really dark and disturbed from that first trailer. That came out,
So they're going with the actual Riddler, which was a genius but schizophrenic.
Pretty much.
I would have to say that we should also do a podcast on the Gotham series.
I'm going to have to touch up more on the Gotham series, but yes, we should.
Oh, Jason, you're going to like the Riddler in that series.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the villains were so well done in that show.
I think I stopped watching right before they introduced the Riddler into Gotham.
No, no. I love going back to that. It's just I love his character in the entirety, and then they do a really good job with the Joker in that series as well.
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah,
the
I remember
Joker
seeing
in
that Joker.
Gotham, in the Joker in Gotham, heavily like toe to toe to Heath Ledger's.
Oh, those that could be fighting words. I have to watch this now.
See. Gotcha. Hooked you.
Speaking of Gotham, I felt like, and granted, I did not see all of the prior Batman films, but I felt like Gotham as a whole in this trilogy took on a much more comprehensively dark tone. Like, it wasn't just like there was some villains. It was the city itself felt like a dark place, or at least had dark threads to it.
It was
the police corruption. You know, there were the people themselves. Like, there was like kind of like the black parts of Gotham, even though all of it felt that way. I don't know. It just the city itself took on a much darker feel to me with this film than the few that I'd seen prior.
It took every dark part of a city and just amplified it times 100.
Yeah.
The poverty, the drugs, the crime, the mob. It took everything and just pumped it up.
Oh, Ra's al Ghul said, with enough hunger, everyone becomes a criminal.
Yeah.
It grounded Batman in realism, and that was something that was Nolan's touch that just made this work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got a curiosity here. When it comes to the actors that have played Bruce Wayne / Batman, obviously, which one do you think was the most complete actor in that role?
Clooney.
Or do you think there was
I knew
one
you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I'm shaking my head over here going, Al's going to say it.
What did you say, Alister?
He said Clooney.
All right. There is a way to just remove him from this podcast
I think
right?
Clooney himself said that he I think that we have ruined.
Hi, Al.
All right, we can unmute him now.
No, Clooney himself. I don't know if he caught. I'm not sure when I started to become muted, but Clooney himself said, "I think that we ruined the franchise."
He did, and he said that recently too in an interview. He said, "Yeah, I realized that movie was total shit."
Good, at least he realizes it.
At the end of the day,
man.
Batman and Robin is nothing more but comic booky cotton candy. I'm not even going to say popcorn, cotton candy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's what's interesting to me is that I remember reading somewhere along the way that that Nolan had expected that Batman Begins would actually be watched by a younger crowd because prior it kind of come across as a little bit more lighthearted, and they found that it was an older crowd that kind of grabbed onto it, and then thus it got darker with each of the next two films, right?
Why was that the case? Because these movies were actually good. These movies, there was no sugarcoating this. This was going to get dark and gritty, and it really get behind what this series really was about. It was a lot darker than people realize.
I really liked that they had what was Wayne's fear of bats in the original comics, or was that a choice?
Yeah. No, there was a fear.
Was okay,
Yeah.
Because I really liked that. I don't remember realizing that before Batman Begins that was part of his backstory, but I thought that was really cool.
The thing that I'm very thankful for in this whole trilogy is that if you guys notice that in a lot of franchises, studios start getting involved. They start providing pressure as to what they want to see and how direction they want the series to go in. And I like the fact that Nolan did what he wanted to do. He didn't give in. I remember reading the story that right after he had finished The Dark Knight and Heath Ledger had passed, the studio was pushing Nolan to put the Riddler in Dark Knight Rises. They wanted Leonardo DiCaprio as the Riddler, and they were pushing so aggressively hard. And he told them flat out, no, I don't want to do the Riddler. I want to do Bane. And he got his way. And so he should have. The Dark Knight was one of the highest grossing movies at the time. I think the guy deserves his own sequel and how he wants to do it, not the studio telling him what they want on their checklist on how they're going to do for the year. It doesn't work. What was your guys' the score is probably one of the greatest scores I've ever heard. I love.
Oh God, yeah. The music
always gives me goosebumps while you're listening to it.
And I think getting back to kind of the overall grittiness and dark feeling. I mean, the soundtrack really gives you even in the happy scenes, the scenes where the plot takes a little bit of an up, the music does not let you feel that way. It never really gets away from feeling like something's just always slightly off.
Well, look at the three key themes that we get from that. We get Batman's anthem. We get the Joker's theme, which is kind of like nails on a chalkboard, and which is fantastic. And then you get Bane's theme, which is all the chanting. I mean, just each movie with its own theme and how each movie, even though it's a sequel, each movie feels like its own thing.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this so good, I think.
Pretty much.
So what was your guys' favorite part of Batman Begins? What was your favorite moment that really got you loving what this series and what direction it was going in?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm not going to start this one off though.
It's weird for me that the two characters that made the movie for me were Alfred and what's his name? Morgan Freeman's character,
Lucius
Fox.
Lucius. Yeah, those two made the movies for me. I loved their characters and their interactions with Christian Bale. And they always came up with some funny quip to say, and it was just like those little moments where it was just, yes, it's serious, but let's be a little bit lighthearted in some aspects.
True. Add a little humor in there without going too overboard.
What about you, Mike?
I think the one thing I can remember from seeing this is that, I'm walking out of the theater feeling very surprised by what I saw, because it felt so different. It didn't feel like what we saw before with the previous films. And it felt unique. It didn't feel like a Batman film, but this was a good thing because it took a comic book character and grounded him in realism, and we've never seen that in a comic book movie before ever at this point. It was always about things being cheesy and over the top and bubblegummy. This was the first time that we were like, hey, this Batman could actually be happening in the real world. It even took Batman's villains and made them real. People that could actually be in the real world, they could actually do these things. This wasn't like your typical Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy type of thing. These were villains that we could see in the real world that could be terrorists and dangerous to cities in the country.
I agree. What about you, Alister?
I don't know. I liked a lot of the. I do really like Bruce's interactions with Alfred, and the one quote that comes to mind that I remember liking when he said it was, "Why do we fall, Master Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up." And not even that I mostly just liked how he said it. His accent's pretty cool.
So for me, I have to say me and Jeremy have pretty much the exact same reasons for why we like this and where this series was going. And it was Lucius Fox and Alfred, both how they interacted with Bruce in this film. The way that they were serious, but they also had that bit of lightheartedness, like you were talking about, Jeremy.
Yeah, good balance. And I gotta say too, I also love how this movie ended because I like the fact that Gordon gave him the playing card and flipped it over and saw Joker, and I was like, yes, we're gonna see Joker in the sequel if we get it.
That was awesome.
And then it was everyone questioning Heath Ledger's casting as the Joker at first, wondering what in the blue hell is he going to be able to bring to the table, considering the last real films that he did before this were Brokeback Mountain and
A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale, were his big 2 movies before this.
He brought a heck of a lot.
I know when they announced him, I was questioning it, and I think just about everybody was. I don't think anybody really thought this was a good casting decision at the time. I think a lot of people were thinking, what is Christopher Nolan thinking? But boy, were we all ever wrong.
I think in that position, if you were less informed about Heath Ledger's past, you were probably better off, because that's where I was. I didn't know what to expect from a Joker from someone who I wasn't very well versed with until after the movie. But it's really hard to come across someone who played the Joker as well as Heath Ledger.
Now he had a particular type of a technique, and Mike, you might know what this is called, but
he was doing method acting.
Character.
Yeah, he was a method actor.
Method actor. Yep.
Yeah. What are some other actors that have used that method, or actresses?
Malcolm McDowell's one. Just watch A Clockwork Orange. That's method acting at its best.
Does Joaquin?
The who?
Joaquin Phoenix. Yeah.
I think in a way he kind of does. I think he did with his Joker in a way. Yeah,
so
I could say I think he does.
You said you wanted a list. Marlon Brando was one. Robert De Niro was one.
De Niro,
Daniel Day-Lewis, Al Pacino, Angelina Jolie, Christian Bale, Jim Carrey,
Shia LaBeouf in Fury. No, I'm dead serious. No, he had a very big problem with that one.
Yeah. Speaking of which, have you all seen the Peanut Butter Falcon?
I have not.
Highly recommend. One of LaBeouf's best.
I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Forrest Whitaker is the one that really surprised me here. But reading some of the stuff he did for his films to get prepared, it makes sense. Because if you look at him from The Last King of Scotland, to prepare for his role, he learned Swahili and ate nothing but bananas and beans and remained in character off set.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's commitment. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
That's full on commitment. And I mean, some of the best actors do that. I mean, like you said, there's a long list. Like I said, Jack Nicholson's one of them. I mean, I just watched The Shining. That's method acting that I think that was my first taste of method acting when I saw The Shining when I was very young. And just watching Jack Nicholson embody that role and going completely crazy at the end, that was just acting at its best. I just loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Heath was phenomenal.
Yeah.
We had a comment on our Facebook Live from Kendall. Heath's raw emotion and palpable feelings were and are still extremely relatable.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Very much so.
100%.
And I think a lot of Joaquin Phoenix's inspiration to play Joker came from that.
And it's so unfortunate, too, what happened with him, because I think it's just a matter of his method acting he took way too far, and it took such a toll on his mental health that all these issues started coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, his last two big films, obviously, were The Dark Knight and then The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he brought some of his own internal struggles and his mental struggles, I think, to his role. And I think that's why he played them so well, is because I think he was going through his own things, and I think he brought his own world into those roles, and I think that's why he played them to perfection.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean,
do we have anything else to add for Batman Begins before we get into The Dark Knight?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
I want to bring up the fact that I love the choice of design for the Batmobile in this trilogy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Because
I know at first I was a little dumbfounded.
Well, you kind of get thrown off because it's a monster. And how do you hide something like that?
Yeah.
And then they went along to explain of how you hide from that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The origin story for it was a lot more believable.
Yeah.
And it looks, less cartoony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they could really have sold the neon looking, I don't know, that we saw like in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I don't think they could have sold that.
Limo Porsche.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
So going into The Dark Knight now, this movie had a budget of $185 million, which is pretty damn high for one of these kind of movies. Box office, just under $1 billion total.
Yeah. Heath Ledger's death played a huge impact.
This movie did more than 5 times the amount of the budget for the film.
The Dark Knight movie is the perfect Batman film.
Yes.
Because the tone that it sets and the tone that it keeps throughout the entirety of the film makes it perfect. It doesn't once make you think that it makes you feel like you're looking over your shoulder at every single point in the film.
Yeah.
Because you're wondering where any tragedy is going to strike.
Right.
How many movies have you seen where you see the kind of chaos and carnage and
from the very get-go?
From the very get-go. But back to what I said about how the realism, this is a good case in point with that. The chaos in this movie, it makes you realize that this kind of thing could happen. Yeah. And I think that's why you look behind your back, because you think, oh my God, this could be happening right outside my door right now.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? We've talked about this in our recent cast about the Marvel villains and how they've stepped into this zone of villains whose backstories you almost feel like you can sympathize with. But Joker, I mean, what's the phrase? Some people just like to see the world burn. Like they definitely don't try to come at it that way with Joker. I mean, he definitely has a sad backstory. You get little glimpses of it when he talks about his wife, But
you realize that that was none of that was true. That was him just being being
that's right.
the batshit crazy Joker that we know.
Yeah.
This version of the Joker was the anarchist Joker that I've been waiting to see be brought to the big screen for the longest time.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you guys agree that Joaquin Phoenix, the way he played his Joker, do you think he took a lot from Heath Ledger and kind of made that his driving force in his performance?
I wouldn't say so much that he took a lot of what he did with Joker from Heath, but I do think there are some similarities you can take away from that. Some.
I don't think I think every single Joker that has played or that has been given that representation is always a different type of Joker. And there's a lot of different layers that come with the Joker persona. You had the first Joker, which was the clown. You come into Jack Nicholson's character, which is the mobster. You have the Heath Ledger Joker, which is the anarchist. You have the Jared Leto, which is the psychopath.
You have the Jared Leto, which is the bad.
Don't get me started on that one.
There are bad and good on everyone's part, and then you have Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, who was the mere form of mental instability,
the legit schizophrenic.
Yeah, the schizophrenic. There you go. And I think every single one of them brings something new to the table and makes it more of an interesting character. So you don't know whatever is going to come up when it is the Joker on screen.
Right. No, that's a good point.
This role of the Joker will always be an acclaimed role to get in any sort of film, whether it be a standalone film, Suicide Squad, anything like that, because it's going to test you as an actor to see what can you bring to the table that we have not seen from the Joker yet. What kind of metal can you bring to raise the bar more than what has already been raised?
I think every single while they bring everything different to the table, I think a lot of actors that have played the Joker have had a hard time coming back from it, and that's what even makes it. Because even Jack Nicholson had problems, and I think Jared Leto had problems when coming back from Suicide Squad as well.
No, Jared Leto's the only one I know for sure that I think had a relatively easy time getting out of the mindset of the Joker. It's just when he was on set and in production for the film, I know that the cast did not want anything to do with him because he would pull some really, really fucked up stuff.
Yeah, I heard Margot Robbie got pranked by him quite a few times on set. Do you guys think? Do you guys think? Do you think that? And this is a little off topic, but do you think that it would be a good idea to bring in Joaquin Phoenix's Joker into Pattinson's Batman? They have a perfect setup already.
I don't know how that would work out, considering his Joker was more based in the origins of how Bruce Wayne ended up starting the whole process of becoming Batman, because Thomas Wayne was the reason why the Joker became, the Joker.
Right.
And in a sense, it came full circle because the Joker would then be the reason why Bruce Wayne became the Batman in the end.
True.
Unfortunately, I don't think his Joker would be that much of a threat. Like, it, in a sense of leadership, maybe if people were actually to follow him and everything, if he had massed followers, possibly a threat. But looking at Joaquin Phoenix's Joker as a person, he's a very lanky dude. He doesn't have much structure to him. You see him running in the film, and I thought he was quite gangly.
Yeah. The only case that I would make is that what we see in Joker is, of course, many years before Bruce becomes Batman, because he's still a kid. So I guess in that 20 or 30-year period, maybe he gains a bigger following based off what we saw at the end. And, I mean, Joker never really was this bulky thing guy. It was all basically screwing with Batman. I guess I could see Joaquin Phoenix's Joker becoming that. I don't think he's quite there yet from what we've seen. We might need to see a sequel to kind of see him maybe become the Joker that we kind of know. But I guess
don't know. I think we're going to end up seeing a recasting of the Joker for Robert Pattinson's Batman. But I'm curious to see, who do you guys think would end up being a good Joker in that role?
Ooh.
Who do you think would be the
Willem
most
Dafoe.
suited?
Willem Dafoe.
Thank you.
Andrew Garfield.
You guys have seen the fan art, right? The
You
fan
can get the
art.
fuck out of here.
for sure.
Up. Yep. Yeah,
All right,
I agree.
Alistair's on a 30-second timeout. Mute him.
Alistair, you're on a timeout.
My God.
Saying that Andrew Garfield would be a good Joker? Are you kidding me? All right, unmute him.
All right, he's back.
Tom Hanks.
But
It's sticky number 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
But going back to the couple of things that we were talking about, what Jared Leto would do when he was in character for this film, and the kind of method acting he did. Going back through an interview I just read here between Will Smith for forget what magazine that he did this for, but he insists that he has yet to actually ever meet the real Jared Leto, because they were both in character throughout the entire filming process. Everyone else I'm seeing here, like co-star Jay Courtney, has also previously backed those claims, saying they haven't seen Leto since they started working out of character. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, have you guys heard that
He's also
Zack Snyder's
what's that?
Zack Snyder's doing some of those reshoots on his Justice League, that he actually brought back Jared Leto to do some reshoots for Justice League to put him in it?
We'll see how that goes.
Wow.
I don't know how that's going to work, considering that we have not seen him since Suicide Squad. We've only seen him in one freaking movie.
Yeah.
But let's go on to other things that Leto has done before we get back on here. He sent Margot Robbie a nice love letter with a black box with a live rat in it.
Hell.
Leto also sent bullets to Will Smith with a letter. He sent the rest of the cast a dead pig.
Weird.
Oh.
Yeah, he's freaked out the director with his antics. Scared co-star Scott Eastwood. He's done a lot of things while he was in character for this film.
He got in character. I'll give him credit for that.
But anyways, we're going back off track here. Back to the Dark Knight.
Round and round we go. Did you guys like to? There was a big drastic tone change in this movie too, compared to Batman Begins. I mean, yeah, they're both dark, but I think the opening of the film, we were talking about openings that are like some of the best in movie history. We were talking about Star Trek was one of those ones. And this ranks up there. The beginning of this movie is just so good, and we get to see Heath Ledger right off the bat just be who he is, and we get a sense of what this Joker is going to be going forward.
Exactly.
And we get to another major central point in this film, and that's the whole story with Harvey Dent. Which I thought they did an amazing job with this.
I wouldn't have thought Aaron Eckhart to be Two-Face before this movie, but now I can't see anybody else playing him better.
He was pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Jason.
Seeing how when after Harvey ended up in the hospital after the what was it, the acid burns on the right side of his body?
I think it was like, wasn't it like gasoline?
Gasoline, acid. It was something that, obviously just melted the right side of his body.
Mm-hmm.
But how the Joker completely broke down everything that Harvey Dent was and turned him into this villain.
But it was...
That's the third it's sticky moment. Harvey Dent's right hand.
I felt like Harvey Dent's fall was...
Oh, boy.
It happened too quickly.
I agree. It was too quick. I
agree
with
too
that.
quick because it was all based on his relationship with Rachel, which wasn't that long. And
not as long as Bruce's anyway.
You felt like the plunge was too deep for what it was.
Yes, especially with the fact that he was built on such solid principles.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he had sort of a dark past, but I don't think that gave enough to warrant his flipping.
Yeah,
I can agree with that.
I agree with that, but I mean, I do love how he, how I would agree that it was too quick, but I think that if they would have paced it out further, maybe done even another film in this with, him breaking down more and more mentally to becoming the Two-Face that we knew.
Yeah.
That it would have been absolutely perfect.
But we're also looking at a realism point here. Coming from that angle, looking at Two-Face in this light compared to what we see in like the comic books or the previous movies, he had kind of still a full face and it was just burn marks. Whereas this Two-Face, this was deep. This was deep burns. This was incredible physical scarring that would never heal. Not properly anyway. So looking at it from a realism point of view, I don't think Harvey Dent would have survived that long before dying of infection from all the exposed skin on the entire right half of his body.
I take Two-Face's burning, like you just said, as a metaphor from Christopher Nolan that his face is damage to his soul. It's showing you what the damage did to his soul on the outside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan and his metaphors. I mean, just watch Inception and Interstellar, and he's full of metaphors.
Yeah. It's interesting contrasting Ra's al Ghul to the Joker. I think that you were mentioning the tone shift earlier, Mike, and I feel like with Ra's al Ghul, we knew his objective halfway through the movie, and he stuck to it. We didn't know exactly how he was going to do it, but he was still a fairly predictable villain, whereas the Joker is just so chaotic. I didn't know what to expect up until the last few minutes.
Unpredictable. Yeah.
Like, legitimately, the only thing that you will ever know about the Joker's game plan, it's just to make Batman's life a living hell. That's literally his game plan. He literally, like he described when he was talking to Dent in the hospital, he's like a dog chasing a car. He won't know what the hell to do with it. He really doesn't. He has no game plan whatsoever. It's just to cause as much chaos as possible.
Yep.
And hence why you see, towards, near the apex of the film, how you get to where, there's that huge stash of the mob's money that, they were splitting in half. He literally took gasoline over his half and just set it on fire because, well, it's his half to do what he wants.
That was probably the most surprising thing that he did to me in the movie. Was I did not expect that at all, and that was when I knew that I had no idea what the Joker was doing.
And going to our comment section, Kendall says that Dent's plot was controlled chaos. I think she makes a really good point because as much as Dent wanted control, that chaotic element of just the flip of the coin is pure. It's just dynamite. I think it's a great way to view the character. It's just you know what, chaos is going to happen, but we're going to let fate decide what happens to you.
Yeah
exactly.
It's a 1-2 chance.
No, I agree because, even though his downfall is quick, it's still believable in the sense of the Joker is toying with his mind so much, and it's already taking its toll on him before he loses Rachel. And then when he loses Rachel, I mean, all bets are off at that point. And, I guess you could say he wasn't in a relationship with her very long. I mean, we don't really know how long they were in a relationship for. We're never really told that. Just like we don't know the time gap between Batman Begins and in The Dark Knight. So we don't know how long Rachel was with him, but I guess he just took it a little bit more personally than I guess somebody like Bruce Wayne would take him, because it seems to me Bruce doesn't take it as hard as Harvey, I guess, in a way you could say.
Yeah. There are 5 years between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight.
5 years?
As opposed to the generally believed 1 year.
So, I mean, maybe Rachel was with him for quite a few years.
Could have been.
So that would actually track with him and his emotions. Oh, back to the comments real quick. I should mention this to you, Jeremy. There was talk about you shaving your head.
I saw that. I was ignoring it. I was ignoring it.
Yeah, we'll have him shave his head live on the air.
That'll get us anything for the fans, Jeremy, right? Anything for the fans.
Do it for the fans, Jeremy. Do it for the fans.
If I make partner on Twitch, then yeah, I'll do it.
There you go. There you go. That's fair.
All right,
enough.
ladies and gentlemen, let's try and get Jeremy a partner on Twitch as fast as possible.
Yeah, right.
So you can see him live on here, shave his head. Oh,
Don't tempt me. I'll do this. I will do the same if Jeremy does it.
The ultimate pitch.
We will see. We will see.
So anything else of note in The Dark Knight, or should we move on to the kind of controversial Dark Knight Rises amongst the fans?
There really wasn't much else I wanted to add to this other than, the whole explanation behind, what Gordon was explaining to, I think it was his son, about, why did Batman have to leave and all that, and it was because he can take it. He's not a hero. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
The true vigilante. Yeah.
I killed those people. I could do that. I will say there are some pieces of dialogue from Batman that sound very slurred. I could do those things. Like he sounded
almost
like
stuff. Trump with a respirator.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Where is it? Where is she?
I am underneath what I do.
Is that did Christian Bale come up with that voice? Did they tell him to do that?
I'm pretty sure that was Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so surprised.
I'm not sure why Nolan didn't try to
I don't know why
that.
you're surprised.
This is the same guy, mind you, that lost his cool on Terminator Salvation set.
Oh, I remember that.
Good for you.
We're done professionally.
Oh, no.
Christian Bale will always be known for his big rant.
But all right.
So what's the controversy? I think I missed that part of the discussion when it first came out, Mike. But what are some of the points of controversy with the third film?
Well, some people were not happy with some of the story choices and some of the things the film did. To me, I never really understood all the criticisms. I mean, I have my own fair share of criticisms with it, but not to the degree that I have read. I think some people have jumped into the fire. Literally, the fire rises. They jumped into the fire and just have not looked at this movie with clear set of eyes. I think the movie bookends Bruce Wayne's journey perfectly. I think it's a beautiful ending to a truly epic story.
Yeah, I thought this was a very good ending to Bruce's story here. But at the same time, I think I know what Jeremy's waiting to bite.
I'm looking at him smirking.
Here. So we're gonna go ahead and see if I agree with what Jeremy has to say here.
I think they tried to
Jeremy.
fit too much into this movie. There was far too much that they wanted to get out and surprise people with, that it just, by the end of the film, I was like, wait, who's the real villain here?
That was one of my biggest gripes.
What would you have taken out?
I agree with that.
Jeremy, what would you have taken out?
Who's the real villain in this film? Society.
I think I would have taken out Talia al Ghul. I would have taken her out.
Sure.
Because I would have liked it to just be Bane's big show.
There was no reason to have Talia al Ghul in this, I think, at all.
It just showed up at the end, and suddenly, oh yeah, the stories that they told, that was me.
I don't know if her character was completely useless. I just think that she could have been done differently. I think she could have been used differently. And I agree. I don't like the fact that she was the one controlling Bane, which basically made Bane a mindless drone. And I didn't like that aspect of it, and I agree with that, and that also bothered me a lot. But, I mean, I don't want to say Talia was useless. I mean, she just could have been utilized a little differently than what she was.
Yeah.
Different.
Because he's definitely not framed as a mindless villain for the majority of the film. I mean, he seems like he's a very independent. Yeah, it was a.
He's a very independent and competent villain.
He is a very competent, very cold and calculated villain.
Yeah.
Which I am so happy that they got that part of Bane right, compared to the actual mindless drone that he was in Batman and Robin. But there were two things that I wish they would have touched more upon with this, and that was a little bit more of Bane's backstory and who Bane actually was, and touching more on the Titan serum, which actually was, what Bane was fucking addicted to, which made him what he was.
I got a question for you guys. This is the one thing that always bothered me about this movie. When Bruce gets out of the Lazarus pit, okay, how does he get back to Gotham so quickly? And how does he even get back into Gotham to begin with?
If
I'm
you
gonna
know
go with
anything
the classic.
about Batman,
It's because he's
plans
Batman.
of contingency plans.
I like it.
And also because he's Batman.
That's all it needs to be said.
But doesn't that seem a little un-Nolan-like, though?
I don't know if you guys have ever seen the How It Should Have Ended animated films on
the He-She videos.
Yes, because every single time you see Batman, it's because I'm Batman. Well, what? How did you get through this? Because I'm Batman. Yeah.
That's pretty much, I think, how he did it. I think Nolan was like, you know what? I'm not coming up with an explanation for this. He's just Batman. That's how he did it. That's it. We're just going to go with that.
Jason, what's the Titan serum? I hadn't heard of that before.
The Titan serum. Give me 1 second here.
That's part of the backstory for Bane.
Yeah.
I got to jump in here. Kendall's.
It was a chemical compound created by Dr. Penelope Young and used by the Joker via research on chemical compound Venom and Poison Ivy's plants. Like Venom, Titan can turn any user into a Bane-like monster, also known as a Titan. However, only a small amount is needed to trigger a long-lasting transformation. Wow. So the biggest thing about the Titan serum was that, like it said, it turned just about anybody with a small amount into, a big hulking Bane-like figure. Bane already having that physical strength that he had to begin with, giving him the Titan serum turned him into, the monster that he was. And it was a drug to him. It was just like any sort of like crack, cocaine, heroin, anything like that. Like he had to have that.
Okay, I got to mention this. So Kendall in the comments said it's a woman's world and Bane was just living in it.
If she had more of a prominent role, I could believe that.
That's true.
But
I
I
could
felt
buy
her
that
role
too.
her role was such a minor character throughout the entire film. If she was built up more,
But she chose to be a minor character.
She was the ultimate smokescreen.
You can't. That's like plot armor for a villain. Like that's poor writing. Is to cement the actual person as a secondary character.
Did you just say
suddenly
Nolan had?
He just said
poor
that.
writing.
How dare you?
If
I
could have
will
been
be the other
better.
outlier here and agree with Jeremy that this was one of the few
Wow.
instances of a little bit of poor writing on Nolan's part.
Wow.
Me and Jeremy do have a lot of the same viewpoints on this.
Mike, I think it's time to mute some other people here.
I think we got to mute Jeremy and Jason for a while. We need to talk about
You
why
go
Nolan's
right on
a
ahead.
great writer.
You go ahead and
Right,
hear
I'm not going to take
listen
it
to
back,
Alister.
okay? I'm not going to take it back.
No, it's true, Mike. No one wants to listen to me. That might backfire for mute them.
Jeremy, you're not convincing me this time. No.
You know what? We can have our differing opinions.
Exactly.
That's true.
One is just
Fair
more wrong than the other.
Growing up.
Okay, all right.
And just so happens that me and Jeremy on the side of the lesser of the two wrongs.
But even going, like, seriously, going back to that same point, when you put your main villain who's supposed to be the main villain, you want to build them up straight away. You want to give them a main and prominent role in the story. As far as it just being Bruce Wayne's love interest throughout the film, doesn't give enough oomph to it. There's got to be another layer for it to be a convincing reveal at the end. Whereas it was just oh yeah, I'm the bad guy. There was no big points for her in the film.
I never did buy Bruce hooking up with her. I thought that was rather forced, and
it was it was obviously a thing that did happen in the comics. Though he hooked up with just about any and every female lead in the series.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne was hooked up with.
I just think that, you know what, they want us at the end of the movie to buy how compassionate and how defensive he is of her at the end when he comes back to the city. And it's like, you haven't known her that long and you slept with her once. You're taking this like Rachel personal here. And it's like, no, I'm not buying that. It's too quickly, too soon. Yeah, that part is a little flawed. And you know what I'm going to say with that one? Christopher Nolan wrote the movie with his brother. I'm going to blame the brother for that stuff. So that's my counter argument.
Okay, I'll take the counter argument.
All right,
I'll take the counter argument. I'm not going to make any use of it, but I'll take it.
Yeah, you do that. But we should mention one good thing here.
Yeah,
Anne Hathaway's Catwoman.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's bad that I forgot about it.
That is kind of bad.
I mean, it wasn't bad. I'll say it wasn't bad. She did a decent job, but I think it was more along the lines of trying to get people to see Anne Hathaway in spandex at that point.
Yeah, throw her
anything else.
Several minutes.
Can you blame them though?
Oh, when you don't add a whole lot more to the role other than that.
Well, oh no, wait! I'm going to call you out on that one because we talked about Star Trek Into Darkness, and you talked about Alice Eve, and you talked about how great it was that she was there for the eye candy. No! Time out. She was given nothing to do Into Darkness.
Don't even kid. You know what? We're going to agree to disagree with here. That's it. Simple as that.
Hey, we can agree to disagree, but one person's right, and it's me.
Whatever you say there, Mike.
Hey, let the other podcast speak for itself.
I completely forgot, though, that she was in that role. Yeah.
I feel like I have to go back and watch The Dark Knight Rises again. Because it's been quite a while since I've seen it.
Her Selena Kyle is better than her Catwoman. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I will agree there.
If I go to who's playing Catwoman now and Pattinson's Batman, I'm not too big on who's playing her now. Zoe Kravitz is playing her, and To me, that doesn't feel right.
It could be worse. It could be Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Well, Halle Berry might not necessarily made a bad Catwoman. She just had a terrible script and a terrible, god-awful movie.
She was a bad Catwoman.
Maybe not entirely her fault, though.
I'm going to blame that entirely on her.
Okay.
But
going back to Gotham, Gotham has a pretty good Selena Kyle / Catwoman.
Oh, yeah, the young Selena Kyle. Yeah, she's pretty good.
And she looks the part, too.
She does look the part. Agreed. One thing we should definitely get into, and this is I think this is one of the biggest questions everybody has about The Dark Knight Rises, is I remember after the movie was released and everybody saw the ending, there was a lot of debate online about the ending. And for some reason, people felt compelled to keep bringing up Inception because they kept saying how Alfred was dreaming Bruce being at the cafe. And everybody kept saying that it was a dream, it was a dream, it was a dream. What part of the autopilot was fixed when they say that? That's a clear-cut sign that he's alive. It's not fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really I'm hoping that they somehow build off of Blake finding the Batcave and turning it into almost a fucking I'm trying to remember what the Batman of the future was.
Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond, thank you. I'm kind of hoping they would have built something off that with Joseph Gordon-Levitt finding the Batcave and having him, become the new Batman.
I think a Batman Beyond movie would be fantastic.
Well, we are kind of getting that because the Flashpoint movie they're making with Ezra Miller's Flash, Michael Keaton's coming back to play Batman, and somehow, some way, they're talking about how DC wants to make Keaton a long-term plan of the DC movies, kind of like becoming like the Nick Fury of the DC movies, where he'll train a new Batman like Batman Beyond. So I guess in a way they're kind of going to do that.
I don't like Ezra Miller's
I don't either.
I don't.
I like the TV guy better.
I hate the way he runs. It looks like a toddler.
Oh,
the flapping of the arms, like it doesn't look real. It looks like he's running in place, and that's it. I can't get over his Flash.
Do you like Grant Gustin's Flash on the TV show?
Far better, like 1,000 times better. I would place him at the top. I'd rather have him in a movie than anybody else.
Agreed.
So this brings me to my question here for all of you. Now that we've gotten through the 3 movies, let's put them in order. What was favorite to least favorite?
While you guys think, can I quickly answer Mike's question about the ending? The controversy there?
Please do, please.
Yeah, I feel like, first off, I think that it was intended to be Bruce was actually there. But I think part of the reason that a significant portion of the fan base tried to get out of it was because this is me personally. I don't think it was a great ending. I think it for how dark the trilogy was and how many punches they didn't pull, I was surprised that they didn't allow themselves to not pull that one either. They had to kind of have it end with Bruce still alive. I would have been comfortable with how the whole trilogy had gone with him having died. I think it would have probably been more.
Him being a martyr would have been a little bit more powerful than him
somehow magically managing to escape. Yeah,
that's your fantasy comic book Disney ending where the hero lives in the end,
right?
Despite all of the crazy odds.
That's true. I mean, I guess my biggest gripe with it probably is the way he survived the explosion. There's a lot of questions within that, and I've always had that question myself. See, I remember in the theater, I was on pins and needles hoping he was alive and they were going to find a way to make him alive. And I remember as soon as they showed him, I think it was the only time in the theater where I literally jumped out of my seat and went like this.
Yes.
Me watching this trilogy wasn't for nothing.
Oh.
Yeah. No, there's a part of me that was glad that he didn't die. That I was divided, I guess. Yeah.
I'm
No,
like
I know what you
Al,
mean.
I'm very divided.
I think maybe you would have liked to seen him alive, but maybe just in a different way.
I would have liked to have seen a better explanation that to show. Yeah, it just because we didn't see what happened, it just seemed very unrealistic.
I wanted him to be alive at the end, but not in the same way that we got. Not this everything pretty all tied up in a bow, like he's living this great old little family life now.
Yeah,
I think we could have
Deserved
gotten
that though.
I mean, yeah, he deserved it, but I don't think it suited the trilogy.
Maybe if he'd had some blast wounds.
He could have.
like Two-Face.
His chest could have been covered in blisters and sores and all kinds of stuff. You never know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
But they could have done a lot more with the ending, I think, other than what they did. But, for what it is, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I'm satisfied. Right. I didn't walk out feeling like, wow, this is the way it ended. Screw this trilogy. I didn't feel like that. So that at the end of the day is a win.
And
I think it was
sorry, go ahead.
It was a good enough ending.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect. It was just good enough.
I've come to the conclusion there's no such thing as a perfect ending anymore. I mean, think about it. I mean,
I will disagree with that. Well, nowadays, yes, but I'm gonna say but there have been perfect endings before. Clockwork Orange being one of them.
Return of the King.
I'm gonna say Rogue One has I say Rogue One has a perfect ending.
Yeah.
It does.
Yes, it does.
It does. It does.
Yep.
Solo had a perfect
I can agree with
ending
that.
too, guys.
What does?
Solo had the perfect ending.
Hey, Solo did have a good ending. Leave it alone.
Oh yeah, Solo
Leave
had
Solo alone.
Do you know what the best part about Solo was? The credits.
Jeremy, please help me out here because I know you're with me on Solo. These two guys are not.
Another movie, Land Before Time. Perfect ending.
Oh God.
Perfect ending.
Oh God.
Oh, no.
Anyway,
I swear, the four of us need to do a Solo
4-year-old?
podcast because this is the ultimate defense. It's 2v2 on Solo. This was perfect. Look at Jerry. He can't stop laughing.
As Jeremy's dying over
The
here.
only thing that redeemed Solo was the connections to the larger canon.
Okay.
Shush. There were two good points about Solo. One, the Kessel Run.
That was cool.
The other one was
Maul.
seeing Darth Maul.
Yep, I was gonna say Maul. Yep, I'm with you, Jason.
Okay, maybe there was a third good point, and that was Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
The thing is, I was going to throw you under the bus because I know you made that comment before. I was going to, no, you can't see there's only two.
But the best part about the film was the end credits.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
No, you know what? We're going to do a Solo podcast because there's just too much to talk about. I'm preparing notes. Jeremy, you prepare some notes. We're going to get these guys.
Is this going to be just as bad as Is this just going to be as bad as the Civil War split?
This could be worse.
What did
could be worse.
Dan say about this? I forget how Dan felt.
He hasn't seen it yet.
Oh gosh. Well, we'll have to have him watch it and then he'll be the tiebreaker.
I'm going to defend the hell out of this movie. I'm going to defend the shit out of it.
Oh, feel free to defend this movie as much as you want. I'll burn you to the ground like I did this film.
You're going to fail epically. You're going to fail epically. And I know with Jeremy, I like the combo. I feel confident.
Anyways, back to what I was saying.
We're not even talking about the Dark Knight Trilogy.
Minutes ago.
Mike,
back to what I was saying. No, Alister, you shush. No more.
Wait, this is a point for us, Jason. The budget for Solo was $300 million. You want to know how much it made in China when it first released?
No.
Okay,
you know why
no,
that is?
no,
it's because of The Last Jedi. That's why. No.
$10
Solo is a 10 times better movie than Last Jedi ever could have wanted to be.
See, look how impassioned he's gotten because he knows.
You, sir, need to go check to see
The
whether or not you came down with the case of the stupid.
Hey, any movie where Luke drinks utter milk Any movie can beat that. Any movie can beat that.
I would rather watch a 2.5-hour film of Luke drinking uddermilk than watching Solo.
Oh,
You
I agree.
would.
I
You
agree.
would.
It's
Yeah.
sticky moment number 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jace Kabasic loves Uttermilk. Okay, Jace. So you could start off the best out of the 3 Dark Knights.
Out of the Dark Knight Trilogy, my favorite was the Dark Knight.
Okay.
Nice.
Far and away was the apex of this trilogy. Then it gets to, then I'm a little more torn on which one I think would be second and which one would be third. For me, I almost have to say I have to go 2, 1, 3 in this case. Go Dark Knight, Batman Begins, then Dark Knight Rises. I just felt more invested into Batman Begins than I did Dark Knight Rises, even though, like, there was a lot of good points about Dark Knight Rises. The biggest tipping point for me was what Jeremy had mentioned earlier. They just tried to shove too much into the film.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'll go next. Dark Knight comes in first for me. Second, I'm a sucker for beginnings and origin stories, so I went the same route with 1 and then 3 at the end.
Okay.
So that's my ranking.
Alister?
Name 2, 1, 3.
Holy
Here comes
crap!
Mike.
He wasn't the outlier. Holy crap!
Here comes Mike
Wait,
with the
no,
controversial.
Mike,
he's gonna
do it.
He's gonna 3, 2, 1.
No, he's gonna go 3, 1, 2.
He's just gonna say Solo.
Actually,
Solo ranks.
Solo's first.
Solo will never be first. Solo was the worst of all the Star Wars movies I've ever seen.
Now I know you're full of shit, but okay, we'll get back to that another time. No, my order actually is going to be 1, 2, 3. I like Batman Begins a little bit more because I like the origin story. I like learning about how Batman became Batman, learning about Bruce Wayne, and just his personal relationships. And I just found the first movie to be a little bit more the relationship's a little more personal, and I liked the
You
I
see,
liked that a little bit more.
I can respect that order.
Yeah.
If there was a spot where 3 was higher than any of the other 2,
No.
I think I probably would have started a world war with any of you.
No, the case to be made about Dark Knight Rises being the best, there's not really a case to be made there. It's hard to make a case for that being the best one.
I just thought that with when we were talking about earlier in the podcast, the Dark Knight I thought was just the most complete and probably the most perfect of the Batman films that has been produced.
Yeah,
There's so much that went into that film. The storytelling of that film, the way that everything ran in there just felt more fluid than any other Batman movie. I'm not gonna lie, the Batman Begins was a close second, but the Dark Knight Rises, not Dark Knight Rises, no, bad. Dark Knight Rises, bad. The Dark Knight was just that much better of a film, though.
Well, I'll agree with you, Dark Knight being one of the greatest Batman films. I look at it this way. I look at Batman Begins being a Bruce Wayne film, Dark Knight a Batman film, and then 3 being a Bruce Wayne and a Batman film. And unfortunately, them being the 2 doesn't quite mesh as well as it probably could have. But yeah, I could agree with that. Number 2 is the best Batman film.
So going to the comments here real quick. I have to agree with Joel here that we all should get tat of the podcast logo together. I think that would be pretty cool.
What was that? Say that again.
We should all get a podcast tat together, like the same tattoo design, we should all get it.
That would be pretty great.
And then seeing Jeremy right
all
after
just put
that
one up and
saying,
just
I
put
have
one-
muted myself.
Because if I start talking about Star Wars, I'm not going to stop. And
This is why I want this guy on my side.
Batman, okay? We're in Batman. Let's talk about Batman.
And
There will be a
a
solo podcast because I want this argument so bad. I want it so bad.
That'll be for a later point in time after we finished up Phase 3, Part 2.
Yep. Solo's going to follow it now because now I want it bad.
All right.
But,
anyways, do we have anything else to add, guys?
No, just that Marvel Part 2 will be next. We'll have Dan back in the room. Oh, by the way,
And
I didn't get a chance to do it in person.
Infinity War.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to do it in person, but if Dan's listening, congratulations on getting married. I forgot to say that to him last time.
Congratulations.
I talked to him.
Big congrats.
But yeah, so Marvel's will be next, and then we will go from there.
All right, so I
Fantastic.
think with that, we can go ahead and start wrapping this one up.
All right, everybody, thanks for being here, and till next time.